You know, if Persona 5 Royale does hit the Nintendo Switch, I may just end up double dipping, and if it does, I wonder if this means that Persona 3 and 4 will also come to the Nintendo Switch as well. Hey guys, it's Rob here, and welcome back to the Robo-chan Show, where we take the gaming news format that channels like Spawnwood or Arlo do, add a dash of animation and some cool editing on top to bring you your gaming news, leaks, and rumors in a fresh new way. If you're new here and want to be kept up on everything gaming, make sure you subscribe to the channel and leave a like if you enjoy the video and dislike if not. And if you're interested, I have a Patreon, which link to that will be in the pinned comment along with my Twitter account. In this video, we are going to talk about some new information from someone claiming to be a developer who has worked on The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild 2 and has given some new gameplay details. We will also be talking about the listing of Persona 5 Royale's Nintendo Switch version and ask the question, are the Persona games going to get the ports after all? As always guys, remember that this isn't coming from Nintendo, so it could always be fake or wrong. Always remember this when talking about these kind of things, especially with that June Nintendo Direct just around the corner. If you guys enjoyed this video, leave a like, it helps the video out when you do, and if you want to help me reach my goal of 1,000 followers on Twitter, you can follow me at RoboRob93. Without further delay, let's talk about some Zelda stuff. So Nintendo has been all but quiet recently. Aside from showing some new trailers for Nintendo Switch games like Xenoblade Chronicles 3 and releasing Mario Strikers on the Nintendo Switch, and of course promoting Fire Emblem Warriors, we haven't really heard anything from Nintendo, which is really weird, right? Because we still have to have that June Nintendo Direct to tell us what to expect after these games. And not only that, but just gameplay for The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild 2. I mean, it's like Nintendo has left us in the dark. Or have they? Because it seems like we have some new details for The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild 2 that could potentially be from a developer who worked on the game. A major leak just appeared on Weibo, the Chinese equivalent of Twitter, where a 3D artist working on the animation shares some game-changing secrets about the Zelda sequel. If true, the next mainline Zelda game would introduce two major firsts in the series. In his video, he explains that the leaker claimed to be a Nintendo contractor in Tokyo who joined the project in March of last year. A Redditor post shares the same information from the Family Boards, matches his history. These two main takeaways emerged from the contractor's leak. So this is coming from someone who potentially has worked on The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild 2, and it's not really too surprising that they would outsource other devs and other people who have experience in making games for this game as well. It's a really big game. I mean, they've done it for smaller games as well. So if this is true and he has worked on The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild 2, he would have some knowledge. Let's continue. So the first part of this article says the SHEIKAH SLATE is back. The leaker is a 3D artist. With that in mind, she mentioned animating sequences related to the first time the player picks up the SHEIKAH SLATE. This also caused fans to jump to the conclusion of the possible playable Zelda. Now the article does go on to talk about Switch Force and the possibility of Zelda being a playable character and her using the SHEIKAH SLATE instead of Link. This is something that has been rumored, if I recall correctly, that Zelda being a playable character in The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild 2 was gonna happen, and I gotta say, it would depend on how it's incorporated. Because for me, sometimes when they pull the player away from the main character, it can make the game less fun and even make you not want to play the game anymore. It would really depend on how you play as Zelda and how she's using the SHEIKAH SLATE. Now the interesting thing here is Link uses his arm as the new power, so I wonder if this is going to end up being true and Zelda's going to use the SHEIKAH SLATE instead of Link, and Link will use his arm for his power. With that being said, let's continue. The leaker also mentioned working on Roaring Dragon and Flying Dragon animations, which could be related to the unreleased title for Breath of the Wild 2. Talking about dragons, this makes me wonder if we're going to be able to have some kind of mount in the game, which would be really cool. Maybe they're going to expand upon the horses and the different mounts that you can get in Breath of the Wild 1 in Breath of the Wild 2, which would be really cool. Imagine getting different kind of dragons. Maybe they can even attack enemies and NPCs as well. I mean, who knows? We do have to fly in the sky, so it would make a lot of sense as to having flying mounts. I mean, it's either that or it's just a fan inside of me wondering what it would be like to ride a dragon in Breath of the Wild 2. And moving on to the second part of this article, it talks about New Game Plus, which would be really cool to have in Breath of the Wild 2. I think New Game Plus would be a fantastic way to keep players engaged in Breath of the Wild 2, and it would be a fantastic way to replay the game as well. You already have all your upgrades and stuff, and it would be interesting to see how much more difficult it would be. I mean, there are times when you think to yourself, what if I had this ability unlocked, or I had this weapon already, or I had this already for the character? It could be a good way to challenge yourself after finishing the game and already learning all the mechanics and the characters and stuff. The Legend of Zelda sequel might also incorporate New Game Plus, which would be a first in the Legend of Zelda series. The New Game Plus is a feature that enables players to carry over progress progress like stats, weapons, and other items into a new playthrough so that it's easier to explore areas that you might have missed and replay specific moments without grinding through the same content again. Related to New Game Plus, Link will apparently look different at the end of The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild 2. Switchforce notes that this could be lost in translation and is probably the least clear detail mentioned in the leak, considering look different could mean a number of different things like changing outfits or different arms. I mean returning Link's arm to normal. Now keep in mind that this could be fake, it isn't confirmed by Nintendo, so always be careful when you're talking about this stuff. I mean, heck, it could not be a Nintendo developer, they could be lying about that as well. With that being said, make sure you jump down in the comment section and tell me your thoughts on it. And if you're not interested in Persona coming to the Nintendo Switch, click the top right corner of this video for another video about Nintendo Switch leaks and rumors that include Donkey Kong, Pikmin, and other cool games. And if not, let's talk about Persona. So if you guys haven't caught the news yet, Persona games are coming to the Xbox and PS5 with Persona 4 Golden, Persona 5 Royale, and Persona 3 Portable. This was said during the Xbox live stream, and they even showed off a whole trailer that you're seeing in the background right now. Now they didn't show PS5 in the Xbox trailer, this was later confirmed later on, but naturally people thought, okay, so it's coming to all of these platforms, of course it's gonna come to the Nintendo Switch, right? Well, so far it hasn't been announced for the Nintendo Switch, which is weird, right? Because the Nintendo Switch has a large install base. It's over 100,000 million. What the heck? I meant 100 million players. Well, as far as Persona 5 Royale is concerned, it could be coming to the Nintendo Switch. A lot of times here on the show, we talk about listings on gaming websites. Games that come onto these websites before they're even announced at any event like a Nintendo Direct that we're supposed to be getting by now. And Persona 5 Royale got such a listing very recently, something I'm sure Persona fans, including me, are very excited for. I'm so excited I can't even talk straight apparently. I'm gonna have to ask you guys to bring that excitement down a little bit because these listings can end up not being either real, or there could be some kind of mistake with the person who made them, or it could just not happen. That has happened before with different listings of these games, so just be careful with that. Now, considering that these games were just announced, I'd say this time around there is a better chance, and I have a theory on why this happened. I could totally see this being announced at a Nintendo Direct whenever that's gonna be, and perhaps Nintendo wanted to announce it at that Direct, and that's why we don't have any confirmation that it's coming to the Nintendo Switch. That's kind of just me spitballing a theory out there, but I think that could happen. Now, there is no word on Persona 4 and Persona 3 coming to the Nintendo Switch, and if there is, I'll make sure I'll update you guys on it because I personally am excited and would like to share that news with you if it ever happens. But for now, there is a small chance that Persona 5 Royale is coming to the Nintendo Switch, which is really cool. And that is all for today's show, guys. If you guys want more news, I did a video on the NSO game coming to the Nintendo Switch with Pokemon Snap, the new Final Fantasy game, and even some cool rumors about Fire Emblem getting a new game that isn't Fire Emblem New Hope. I meant Three Hopes. I've been playing Star Wars recently, so that Star Wars stuff is in my head still. And if not, what do you guys think about the gameplay details that could possibly leak out from the developer from Breath of the Wild 2? And of course, my fellow Persona or RPG fans, what do you think about Persona 5 Royale coming to the Nintendo Switch potentially? Remember, it could be fake. Make sure you guys tell me your thoughts in the comment section below. And if not, on your way out, make sure you subscribe for more videos and also have that notification bell on. And if you want to support the channel in any other way, there is my Patreon and Twitter account in the pinned comment if you're interested in those. Oh, and also have this donut if you're still sticking around for me rambling. Thanks for watching, guys, and remember, stay safe, stay charged, and have a good one.